Welcome to Winnipeg. Hello, Canada. Rivalry, revelry, history, hostility. The Prairie Dogs are at it again. Green and white meets blue and gold. It is the 16th annual Banjo Bowl.
Absolutely love this guy. Solomon Elamimian used to be part of Team 100 when he was ponied up with the other man on the other side of the defense in the middle, and Adam Bighill. And these guys together, whether they add up to 14 or 100, they actually have some astronomical numbers. 1,412 tackles combined. These guys are the true leaders of the defensive units for both these football teams.
Saskatchewan team that came off a walk-off win last week. The little exchange at the end of the game between Mike O'Shea and Craig Dickinson. We'll talk more about that today. But O'Shea and his Blue Bombers, with their 8-3 record, followed closely behind by Craig Dickinson, first-year head coach, 7-3 in his first ever Banjo Bowl as the leader. Crowd out in full force on a glorious day in the Manitoba capital. We've got costumes, we've got green, we've got blue, we've got melons, we've got banjos.
Yeah, 14 straight sellouts here. What a tremendous atmosphere it is. He thought it was crazy at Mosaic last week. It gets even crazier here for the Winnipeg fan base, and they're loving every minute of it, a chance to redeem themselves from last week.
Humming and strumming, picking and a grinning. It is the annual day of deliverance between these two teams. They played this 15 times, but never have they played it with first place on the line, adding to the intensity. Banjo Bowl strikes its first note. Here we go. Back to return is newcomer Larry Rose. And out comes Chris Streveler, a flag on that return. The young quarterback in his first start back at Investors Group Field.
Illegal block. Winnipeg number 84. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Taking over the reins from the injured Matt Nichols. Has had starts, but not since his first as a pro back here a year ago, more than a year ago, at Investors Group Field.
Yeah, Blackie, first taste of the Banjo Bowl right here. And got to remember, this kid's only attempted 197 passes over the course of his career. And just tip of the iceberg for Chris Streveler and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Streveler had a lead with the Bombers last week at Mosaic. And then the Riders' late drive led to a Brett Lowther field goal and the game winner. So the Banjo Bowl bounce back for Winnipeg and not bouncing anywhere. Chris Streveler goes down as Solly makes his first impact of the Banjo Bowl, his first Banjo Bowl. And Solomon Elamimian gets home to Chris Streveler.
He does, and he gets home, and this is just straight up just bringing the heat and trying to pressure the young quarterback right away, and his eyes aren't right. He hangs onto the football, and Solomon Elamimian gets his third sack on the season.
Elamimian, longtime BC Lion. Slow start with his new team in green and white, but told us yesterday, it's starting to roll again, and so is Streveler. Streveler taking off, close to a first down, likely has it, and this is what the kid can do.
I could have called that from up here.
You know that, man.
Play to your strengths and work on your weaknesses, and we know that this is one of his strengths, and they get a twist up front, and the big boys do a nice job of just wiping it out to their right-hand side, and Streveler hits a crease, picks up a major first down here early.
Streveler, who is second on the Bombers in rushing. Keep in mind, he's only had the last couple of starts, including today. Has come off the bench for the most part, or short yardage situations, but runs a lot. He's the 8th leading rusher in the Canadian Football League. Right behind him, by the way, Cody Fajardo, who also likes to run. Darvin Adams. That's about 5 or 6, and now here they go.
Yeah, Blackie,
so the blood's boiling early on.
Yeah, I've highlighted Johnny Augustine. Why not? He had 115 total yards last week, and And this kid right here, Daniel Peterman, I just think he's going to see a lot more opportunities today. And Jamarcus Hardrick, he's up front, and I love him on the other side. You got Stanley Bryant, the big boys, bookends. And when you talk about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, that's what I think of, the bookends. Bryant, Hardrick, back in my day, it was Garrell and Walby setting the tone.
Strebler behind center. On second down, the handoff to Johnny Augustine. First down, Winnipeg.
How can you not talk about the Saskatchewan Roughriders if you don't say Charleston Hughes? This guy, what a character, and boy, he brings it. He's looking to try to reel down John Bowman, who had a couple sacks last night. And he's just 4 shy of him right now. And in the back end, you got Derek Moncrief, who just does it all for the Riders, and Lucius Purifoy, another jack of all trades that is exceptional football player, leads the team in interceptions.
Winnipeg team second in the CFL in points scored and giving up points. Strebler, look out, spins away, gets it off, incomplete. Pressure came and Strebler was able to get it, but this drive is going to continue. It looks like there's a flag downfield. And it might be an interference call or contact call.
Contact on receiver. Saskatchewan number 42. A 10-yard penalty. It will result in a first down.
Derek Moncrief, contact call. First down, Winnipeg.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy one to see, too. Right here, Moncrief's going to be right in this area here, I believe. And it's going to be a three receiver inside, and he just grabs him right here as he tries to cross his face, and that's illegal contact as it's 10 yards downfield.
Strebler from the gun. Looks one way, goes over the middle, a one hopper for Darvin Adams. Winnipeg team again missing key receivers this week. Lucky Whitehead out, Nick Dembski out.
And it's one of those things where Chris is just kind of not going through his progressions quick enough, and that was almost like a, oh, there he is, and then he didn't set his feet and didn't spot the ball properly. And that just takes time and rhythm and reps, and as I stated earlier, he hasn't had many of those. Forced into the fray early last year, and he's getting a full taste of it right now.
Johnny Augustine right beside Strebler for some blocking help. Here comes the blitz. Strebler delivers to Saskatchewan territory, once again targeting Darvin Adams.
Absolutely phenomenal protection. The big boys up front. Couture great. There's Hardrick and Bryant. Gives his quarterback a nice throwing lane to knife one through, and nice combination. Darvin Adams sitting in the hole. Young quarterback finds him for a critical first down.
Quarterback who knows some of these receivers, of course, because as a backup, throws to the scout team, the second huddle teams at times, has developed a rapport with them. And the newcomer in his first game is Rashid Bailey. Fifth-year pro, his first start in the Canadian Football League. That's his first catch.
Yeah, and they're high on this kid, and where they like his work ethic, and that fits in well with a Mike O'Shea-led football team where attention to detail is paramount. And got a Saskatchewan Roughrider down on the football field. Looks like AC Leonard.
Yeah, he's going to be attended to here. Saskatchewan team that hasn't had many injuries and has been able to maintain basically the same starting lineup over this 6-game win streak that they're on right now. And Craig Dickinson and the Roughriders have rallied hard here and an opportunity to grab a share of first place, and they do have a game in hand on Winnipeg. The two teams will meet again October 5th.
Yeah, and as AC walks off the field under his own power, which is great news. You got a kid by the name of LeVar Edwards, who was in a controversial position last week as he plunked 15-year veteran long snapper Chad Rempel for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Might have been more than a plunk.
Yeah, it was. He got up underneath his pads pretty good, which is not in the spirit of the rule the way it's written right now. And we'll have more on that as the game goes on. But I really like what I see in LeVar Edwards, second-year player from LSU, who can flat out run and go sideline to sideline, get after the quarterback. All eyes are on him right now.
Bomber team missing their long snapper after he got trucked last week by LeVar Edwards. So They bring in a newcomer today. 6 receiver set. Strebler trying to take off, and he does, as Charleston Hughes had him by his cleat on second down, but Strebler's going to be short. Maybe a yard and a half, almost 2.
Yeah, and this is just great pursuit, and we had a chance to talk to Solomon Elamimian and what they got to do with the strong quarterback such as Chris Strebler, and they got to get bodies to him, and when you get a chance you want to hit him as hard as you possibly can, and there they got about 6 or 7 bodies on number 17 and finally brought him down.
Micah Johnson got to him first. So now it is 3rd down. The spot is about a yard, a little more than a yard for Strebler. Straight ahead. Mission accomplished. Drive continues. Drive that has already eaten up a good portion of this clock.
Yeah, and I love what the Bombers do here, and this is Paul LaPolice trying to mess around with the defense and look ill-prepared, but watch, they break the huddle, they look like they're like some confusion in the back end, the big boys up front get lined up, and they get a nice tee-off on the Saskatchewan unsuspecting defensive lineman. There's Paul LaPolice, the madman behind the whole science project here in the Winnipeg backfield and what they do offensively.
Mastermind, Lapo. Double tight end set here for the Bombers as they keep it on the ground for the replacement for Andrew Harris. And he's done a more than admirable job. Johnny Augustine got his first start a week ago in the loss, but almost rushed for 100 yards.
Yeah, highlighted by a big one too, and we'll take a look at it. Well, he seemed very comfortable out there in his first start as a professional and first taste of the Labor Day Classic, and he was gutting him pretty nicely. And here's the big one. Little open field move there, and Ed Gainey, then it's off to the races. 55 yards on that play. He looked comfortable last week, taking over for the great Andrew Harris.
Welland, Ontario native, gets it again, the Guelph Griffin. And it is another first down. Talk about a clock-draining drive here. Almost half the first quarter in Saskatchewan's offense hasn't been on the field.
Yeah, and you know, I've heard this a lot lately. Penalty-aided drive, and Charleston Hughes is a little late to the party, paying a little too much attention to the quarterback, and by that time, Johnny Augustine's got a full head of steam, and he just goes for a ride.
Bomber team that is #1 in the CFL on the ground. Augustine shouts out a signal too, stays in to protect. Strebler on the roll. Strebler looking in the sunshine to the sideline, nobody home. And Micah Johnson with a late shot on Strebler, and a 15-yard penalty likely upcoming here.
Yeah, and I'm surprised that 17 didn't take all that green, which was in front of him, because he had a 2/3 of the field to work with as he was flushed to his right.
The passer, Saskatchewan #2. Contact to the head area. At the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Another peek at it. As you can see him, he's close to the left hash. Means you got about 41 yards to your right. He's got all this space, and he kind of elects to stay there. And then Micah does his thing, goes up top and contacts him in the head, and you can't do that.
And right in front of our referee today, Andre Prue.
Talk about penalty aided. I mean, that just gets him right down on the doorstep.
Micah Johnson, like Charleston Hughes, a former Calgary Stampeder, albeit last year Micah Grey Cup champion, coming over to Saskatchewan. Strebler goes end zone. Adams, jump ball. Penalty flag. This will take the ball down to the 1-yard line. Ed Gainey basically blanketing Darvin Adams, but interference in the end zone. Bombers will go first and goal from the 1.
Although the ball was thrown just a little bit late.
Saskatchewan #11. The foul occurred in goal. The ball will be placed on the 1-yard line. Automatic first down.
And I like how the quarterback tries to throw Darvin open, because he had no more room to the sideline, so he tried to go over the top. Darvin Adams has to center field turn, and he draws a contact right here as Gainey gets a part of him before he turns around and plays the football himself.
Well, will this be Strebler time? 7 touchdowns as a quarterback this season. Make it 8. What a start for Winnipeg.
Length of the football field, backed up, and a couple of critical first downs there. I called it that way because, now we got some fisticuffs.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And it is on here. Nick Marshall was into it.
Yeah, he's been into it.
Preventing the Bombers from going for their Hardrick leap into the end zone, and they're still chirping and beacon.
Yeah, that's the emotion and passion that runs high here, and certainly going back to back. I heard Glenn Suter talk yesterday in the column when he was calling his game, and I can tell you that I like what he said. Mike Edom, the free safety for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, said last week was a battle. This week it's going to be a brawl, and we're seeing a little bit of that now.
Well, take a look at all the flags. I don't know if I've ever seen as many orange flags. Every official emptied their pockets.
Yeah, like Jamarcus Hardrick's out in the middle of the football field right now with Ed Gainey, and at the coin toss.
There are 2 fouls after the play. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 59, and a major foul, Saskatchewan number 3. This is a wash.
Yeah, well, that's probably a good way to describe
that might be it.
And then that first drive might be flushed down the drain for Saskatchewan because they didn't help themselves, taking several penalties to help that scoring drive. 15 plays, 100 yards, 8 minutes and 28 seconds. That is getting it done and setting the tone here early.
Strebler stays in. New long snapper, Max Latour in. Justin Medlock for the point after. 96 in a row now for the ageless wonder, Justin Medlock. What a start for the blue and gold. Strebler caps it off, penalty assisted, in a penalty-filled game already. Why not? It's the Banjo Bowl.
Hey, Margaret Sorensen of Victoria. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If a kickoff's return for a TD in this one, you can win a $10,000 home theater package. If it happens twice in this game, you can also win $1 million. Good luck, Margaret. Let's go back to Rod and Maddie in Winnipeg.
So right before.
Second-year pro, 24-year-old Chris Strebler, former star, South Dakota Coyotes. There's Buck Pierce alongside, going over the tablet, going over an impressive drive to say the least. Bombers start. They take the first swing here in the Banjo Bowl. And picking his way, Uchez Purifoy up near the 28-yard line. When we come back, Cody Fajardo gets his turn here in the first quarter. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan. Ranked #1 in quality by J.D. Power. Sold out Investors Group Field. Rocking already.
Yeah, the mezzanine level is just packed.
It is packed.
It is just...
Who needs a seat?
Yeah, everybody's standing. Why not?
What a great atmosphere, as always it was last week in Regina. So now Cody Fajardo, with 6 minutes to go in the opening quarter, gets his hands on the football for the first time. Clock-chewing drive as William Powell is also chewed up right away. Anthony Gator penetrates the backfield, a loss.
Yeah, taking a look at the Riders' starting offense, you got Roosevelt Patterson, who had season-high numbers last week, 8 catches, 93 yards, and up front, you've got Dan Clark making his 73rd start, right in the center of things, literally, and he is the veteran up there as Brendan Labatt is still out of the lineup.
Key second down now for the Riders. Second in the Canadian Football League in this department on second down conversions. Fajardo back to pass. Looks. He's in trouble. He's going down. Willie Jefferson. The human airplane.
Yeah, and it's I think a coverage sack because Cody Fajardo had nowhere to go with the football. The routes developed late, and Willie Jefferson at the top of the screen here. Watch him just do his thing. He just destroys and sits back, and he's trying to get chipped, and then here comes 7 right to him, and he gets a big chunk of him and sends him going the other direction in a hurry.
Jefferson, the knockdown sack. John Ryan. Or Seahawk with a bounce. Good kick. Chris Streveler gets it again. The Riders didn't have the ball very long. And former Rider Willie Jefferson with that enormous wingspan.
Steven Richardson right there, first-year player, just getting her done, flushing the big number 5.
Well, this collision has a lot of people talking. Last week, long snapper Chad Rempel bowled over by LeVar Edwards. You know, the code is really kind of lay off the long snappers. They've tried to implement rules along that line, but Mike O'Shea, he was red hot after the ball game. Got into it a little bit with the officials, also with Craig Dickinson, but cooler heads seem to have prevailed.
I play a part in this too. I got to make sure we do a better job of getting the intent of rules expressed on the field with standards. So, you know, I by the wording legal and probably not the intent that we left the rules committee with in terms of protecting a long snapper.
He knows me and I know him. We're not going to coach our guys to hurt players, and we're not going to try to take a guy out of the game. It was unfortunate that Chad got hurt. There was no malicious intent. I'll coach it a little bit better so that he's not getting run over by a 270-pound guy. So that was just one of those things after the game. Mike, I think, just wanted to get something off his chest. I listened to him. We shook hands and moved on.
Johnny Augustine, first touch on the second series with 4:17 to go. Opening quarter, Chad Rempel. Mike O'Shea, as a special teams coordinator in the past, would know well from his previous stays as well in Toronto and other teams. Rempel chatted with him before the ball game, said it's his first injury he's had in 10 years. Long time, long snapper.
15 years in the league, been setting a precedent for a while, and I've enjoyed digging into this story all week long and from all different sides.
Well, it makes you wonder if there's still something to this story. We'll follow it along the day. Streveler going deep down the seam. Oh! Almost caught by Drew Wolotarski. Old roommate of Chris Streveler back in their days at the University of Minnesota. Streveler was also a receiver.
Yeah, and I like Strev's eyes here for young quarterback, looking left, holding Mike Edom in the middle, giving himself plenty of room, and he just lifted it just a little too far for Wolotarski as he lays out and does his best to bring it in, but they were close on that one.
Now the veteran Justin Medlock again, new long snapper Maxime Latour out of Sherbrooke.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's not Thomas Miles.
Thomas Miles has also been doing some long snapping, did some last week, and it is Miles this time. Marcus Thigpen pops out of bounds. Riders trying to get on track here. Down 7 in the annual Banjo Bowl, the Labor Day rematch on TSN. Already a sack in this one. Solomon Elamimian, a future Hall of Famer, and the Saskatchewan Roughriders getting to know the Banjo Bowl a little more. With more, let's go to the sideline. Here's Sarah Orleski.
Well, Rod, what an introduction it's been so far. Solomon's been in the league since 2010, so he obviously knew of the rivalry. Totally different when you experience it yourself, though. He described last week's Labor Day game as being like a November game. But as for the rivalry, he said they hate us, we hate them. It was before his time, before a lot of people's time. We don't know why we hate them, but we do, and it adds a lot of fun to the game. And when he's going around town right now, what is he hearing from everyone? You have to beat the Bombers. That is what people care about right now, and adding even more to it, obviously, is that first place in the West right now is on the line.
You're so right, Sarah. There's Shaq Evans making that catch.
Really nice double tight formation, giving Cody Fajardo just a little extra more time because he felt heat in that first series, and he finds Shaq Evans crossing the field and a nice strike.
Evans, number 1 in the CFL in yards per catch, averaging 17.5. That one was for 21. Fajardo trying to dodge. A tackle did not. Drake Nevis pulls him down on first down.
Yeah, it's just a second sack this season and his 10th on his career. And I've got Willie Jefferson highlighted because you got to if you're talking about the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense. His stats really don't jump off to you, but his play does. And then Anthony Gator, I love this kid. A fourth-year player from Florida International. Only 5'10", 177, playing the Sam linebacker position on the back end. The thief leading all thieves across the league with 7 interceptions, Winston Rose.
Cody Fajardo, who has had a most outstanding player-like season for the Riders. His breakout season, and that's why does a lot of that. Kyran Moore. Catch. Kyran Moore.
Yeah, this is, I just believe this kid has earned the opportunity to see more balls thrown his way. And he pushes and runs a really nice route and feels the hole and sits in it. Jeff Heck can't get there quickly, and Cody Fajardo, nice timing throw. Bringing out the sticks to see if they pick up the big first down, trying to switch momentum here early.
The guy they call Swerve Moore. Well, the Riders leading receivers. There's a first down, and you can tell by the crowd here, there is a lot of green in this stadium, as there was a lot of blue last week. Not predominantly, but look at that. Tell you what, the Rider fans, they travel well. Neighboring provinces making the trek. No more passionate fan base, it seems.
4 receivers set to the boundary here. That's interesting.
Fajardo goes the other way, looking field side, and coming back to the football once again is Moore right at the first down marker. He is spun to the ground.
This is I said they had a 4 receiver set to the boundary, and they freed up Kyran Moore to the field. There's a flag in the play. We'll get to that in a second, but I can tell you this is an incredible route. And
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 95, half the distance to the goal, and a first down.
Jake Thomas too close to Fajardo.
Yeah, and this is he's right here. There's Jake. We love him. He's a heck of a football player. In fact, this is his 7th Banjo Bowl, more than anybody on the field right now. I can tell you that the route was just beautiful because he was trying to go over the top. Free safety was there, so when he saw the free safety high, he had to break it off into a comeback route. Fajardo knew that, spotted the ball, trusted his receiver. Kyran Moore went and made the play.
Jake Thomas had pinned the Rider on the ground. That was the unnecessary roughness call. Fajardo looks at that wrist strap. Riders look to respond here to the early Bombers score. Minute to go, opening quarter. Loud Investors Group Field. Handing it off to William Powell, stutter step. Shakes and bakes close down to the 5-yard line.
That'd be a good nickname for him, Stutter, because he does a lot of that. You know, and last week, and 39-yard romp that he had in the last drive, the 39 to the 87 they had in the last drive, and a walk-off winner for Brett Lau, the first of his career. But William Powell, he just stops right in the hole and has the patience and the nerve to do that on a regular basis and lets things kind of unfold in front of him. That play did the same thing. It shows you his artistry is toting the rock.
Former Red Black, so proficient near the goal line. Takes to Powell and going near the goal line, and there's a flag down as they once again get to Fajardo, incomplete, and it's a hold against the Roughriders, it looks like. Send them back.
Adam Bighill coming through right here. He's right here, and he's going to come late.
Holding.
Fajardo wants to go to his left on the quick slant, and he got Biggie with his arms up. He throws it, spots it where his receiver has a chance, but he just can't bring it in. And that was all Adam Bighill and the pressure on Cody Fajardo right off the get-go.
So it results in a 3rd down. That brings out Brett Lawler.
Yeah, I asked Brett before the ball game, I said, was that your first walk-off? And he says, yeah, it was. And he says,
it was a runoff.
Yeah, exactly. And he talked about that. He's probably a little over-exuberant in his celebration, but well, he was feeling it along with John Ryan, who holds for him. And they went up into the stands and celebrated in a big way. And why not in the Labor Day Classic?
This ball ends up in the stands after the successful field goal by Lowther, who ended last week's Labor Day Classic with a kickoff walk-off win. Riders on the board on the final play of the opening quarter of the 2019 Banjo Bowl.
Woo! Bomber! Coming out of Winnipeg.
Well, the temperature might be a little cooler than it was last week in Regina or during the summer, but it's still heated. Certainly in the hearts of both of these teams. You can tell right now it is on between the Riders and the Bombers. Residue of last week and the walk-off win.
That.
But at the same time, I mean, they're neighboring teams. You were part of this. You played in Winnipeg. You know how these two teams do not like each other.
It is on, and beautiful weather for football. Why not? Banjo Bowl started off with 10 plays for a 100-yard drive and a score, and then with fisticuffs in the end zone. And well, this is what it's all about. And important first place is on the line, and the guys are just leaving it on the football field and then some, and crowds enjoying it. And I hope you are at home, because this is what football is all about.
And a great triple header day today on TSN later tonight. Battle of Alberta renewed once more earlier today. The Argos got their second win of the season, beat up on the Ottawa Red Blacks. And this game, again, one of the rematches from last week. And here was the final drive last week.
Yeah, that's pretty special. I mean, bringing a lot of heat there. It's only a 26-yarder, but Lowther had to lift it. And talking to Craig Dickinson yesterday, he described that and said what a great 26-yarder that was. And then you got all kinds of hell breaking loose here. Yeah, that's a bad idea.
I don't think they recognized who he was with the helmet, because he didn't have a helmet. He just looked like everybody else. They all wear jerseys.
Yeah, I asked him if he was doing a little stone cold Steve Austin over there, grabbing a couple of those flying objects and beer cans coming at him in that celebration. And he said he thought twice about it as soon as he took his helmet off. He knew that was a bad idea, but huge win and big kick, and here we are today.
First series, second quarter. Darvin Adams, yards after the grab. Picks up almost a dozen, make that 17 yards.
Yeah, and Mike Edom has, got away with one there, and the officials came and told him, as you watch this play, I really like it. Using different ways to get Darvin Adams a football last week. It was underutilized, and he's still playing around with that knee brace. Doesn't look like he's full speed, but there comes Mike Edom in late, and you just can't have that. And officials told him it's too close. Next time it's probably going to be a flag.
First down, Winnipeg. Blue Bombers, who were swept in the back-to-back home and home last year. Again, we said this is the 16th edition. Winnipeg leads the all-time Banjo Bowl series 8-7. A series that began after an offside remark
by Troy Westwood.
Oh,
yeah, I love that one.
Part of the rivalry. Yeah. Troy's working radio here in Winnipeg, back in the studio.
They called him a bunch of banjo-picking inbreds, and then later kind of recanted and apologized for his comments. Said, the vast majority of the people in Saskatchewan, they have no idea how to play the banjo.
And hence the Banjo Bowl. Darvin Adams. Some traction here today.
Yeah, I like
picking up some numbers. It'll be third and short, Winnipeg.
Yeah, and you need to get the #1 guy involved. 7th-year player from Auburn. Only 21 catches coming into today's ball game, and this guy's a big target. He's coming off of that knee injury and maybe slow down a step, which I can notice from up here, but it's good to see him getting involved early in this offense. Should help the young quarterback out.
Third down. Strebler lunging over that 55-yard line. Midfield, for those of you watching down south, 55-yard line up here.
That's right. That's the center field, 20-yard end zones. Most of the stadium's up here. Yeah, I mean, call like I see it. That used to be 25 when I got in the league. And
it's a lot of real estate back there.
He can throw bombs on the 10-yard line. You gotta love that.
So again, the Bomber drive continues with a guy who began the season as the backup to Matt Nichols with a apparent shoulder injury. Here's Bailey tripped up and got some positive yardage when it looked like Charleston Hughes had nabbed him in the backfield. Bailey's been waiting for his chance, said yesterday, really emotional about this, getting a chance to play and not only get a chance to make his first start, but in such an intense rivalry as this one between these two teams.
Yeah, went undrafted in 2015, signed with Philadelphia, and then bounced around. We have anywhere from 7 to 8 teams that and this is his 7th or 8th stop, and they like him here in Winnipeg, love his work ethic and what he brings to the table. And there he's just had a tough time trying to find his footing.
2nd and 8, Strebler hangs in. There he is again, and there's a penalty flag. They might have got a little too close to the grill on Rasheed Bailey.
Yeah, if this goes against Saskatchewan, if in fact that's the case, this is going to sustain this drive and continue it as well. And
major foul, face mask.
There it is.
Saskatchewan number 49. 15-yard penalty enforced from the end of the run and a first down.
Bailey, who was found at a free agent camp in April, had spent some time with BC in the past. He's been with 8 different teams since 2015. There is the face mask.
Yeah, and that's continues this drive. And you saw Chris Strebler there in the pocket, pressure in his face, chucking and ducking. Sometimes you got to do that. He spotted the ball nicely and got a little help from the defense.
Bailey splits out. Top of your screen, just in the sunshine. Second receiver to field side. Little pump now by Strebler, going deep and overshoots Wolotarski.
Oh, and Chris knows it. Look at him. He's just beside himself down there. Man, those opportunities don't come very often, and when they do, you want to capitalize on them. And this is one of those routes that receiver Wolotarski just destroyed the cornerback on a little sluggo and was over the top, and Strevs just missed it.
Setting up this 2nd down conversion. Darvin Adams near side. Looking his way. Strebler wants to tuck it and go with it himself, and he gets hit hard. But then he dusts a rider. Strebler still on his feet, bashing, crashing, gashing his way down to the 10-yard line. Oh my, Chris Strebler.
That'll get him jacked up right here now. Well, I saw that one unfold. He had 2 high basically defending, and then he found a little space in front of him, and then it was off to the races. First Micah Johnson, and then Cameron Judge, and now get off of me, Mike Edom. Runs by Moncrief and picks up major first down, excites this football crowd.
Strebler, the leveler.
Oh,
look at
God. Just get off of me.
21-yard romp for Strebler.
It was about 6'1", I'd say about 225. Told us yesterday in the combine ran a 4.47. That is just a lethal combination.
Leading rusher in the ball game calls his own number again. Strebler down to the 5-yard line.
He runs hungry.
Yeah, we saw this last year in his opening start, his first game. Think about that. Only one other quarterback had ever done that. Gone from college right to the CFL. It was Anthony Calvillo.
Yeah.
He did it last year for the Blue Bombers.
Yeah, but he's a completely different type of quarterback.
Yeah.
He plays
AC
with
didn't
strength, and he's a flat-out runner. Reminds me a lot of Ken Hobart, and who ran hungry and was just a specimen like Strebler. And boy, he's playing to his strengths right now, just willing his football team down the football field.
A guy who was a receiver at Minnesota, then a quarterback at South Dakota, throws it, touchdown, Daniel Peterman, who loves the Banjo Bowl. 2 career touchdowns, and both in the Banjo Bowl.
And he can parry you with his legs, and he can touch it with the throw, and he feathers this one into Daniel Peterman, his 11th reception on the season. I was anxious to see him do his thing today because he just doesn't have many opportunities with the way it played out. Well, he just does a nice job on Lucas Purifoy and just ball spotted perfectly. And quarterback gave him a chance, and Peterman says, thank you very much.
And he got his chance today with the injury to Nick Dembski. Peterman comes in, draws in today the former McMaster Marauder, who had his first touchdown a year ago in this very game, now has his second.
How about that, huh? 10 plays, 78 yards, another 6 minutes plus off the clock. That's just domination, and Chris Drevler doing it with his legs. The big boys thanking him up front for bailing him out a couple occasions, but defense helping him once again on that drive. Pay special attention to that note, because that's 2 long drives in a row that were aided by penalties, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are capitalizing.
Must be looking at this from command. Every scoring play is reviewed.
Yeah, Daniel Peterman reminds me a lot of Rick House with his feet work and his footwork. He's got quick feet. He's 5'10", 210 pounds, so he's got good size to him.
That's a blast from the past, old Hauser. Rick House,
you know, and I say
31.
that because of the correlation of Bombers and the way they play. And Daniel Peterman reminds me a lot of a guy I used to be a teammate of mine, Rick House. And I've got a lot of time for Rick, and I always said he had the sweetest feet of any of the receivers I ever played with. Another guy that reminded me of was Jim Sandusky back in the day with sweet feet. Just really used that to his advantage. And Peterman's got the same skill set.
Not sure what the delay is here.
Saskatchewan Roughriders will take it.
We just lost communication with Toronto. Ruling in the field stands, touchdown.
Wow. I'm sure some Rider fans will be suspect about that.
Looked like a catch.
Yeah, it did.
So the Bombers open it up, and again, Medlock and Max Latour's first CFL game as the long snapper. That's a low snap. Strevler puts it down, though. And once again, for the 97th straight time, Medlock pours it through. Daniel Peterman, back-to-back years. Probably wishes the Banjo Bowl was every week. Peterman scores. Bombers lead.
Chris Drevler getting his game on, and this is beautiful, and he just takes out his frustration of last week's loss and the way things ended. And it just runs over everybody in the Saskatchewan uniform, and 30 yards in that drive. Then he lifts one beautifully and throws it into Peterman, who makes his second touchdown grab of his career. Both of them coming on the Banjo Bowl Classics, and that was again eating up the clock. Time of possession in the game so far, 16:37 for Winnipeg, and four plus almost 5 minutes for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
That's the thing. Cody Fajardo wants to get some type of a drive going, trying to get the Riders back. Purifoy on the return. Weaves his way to the 32. There is Big Willie. Former Rider has been on both sides of this rivalry. More on Willie Jefferson coming up. There's Willie Jefferson, a former NFLer, spent time in Edmonton and Saskatchewan, of course, and now is with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He is an enormous man,
I didn't realize
a phenomenal
he was that big.
talent. Look at the wingspan, 6 feet 10 inches, more than his height. This is what he's done this year. 10 sacks. The knockdowns also incredible. 9 this season.
All over the football field. When a wingspan like that, you feel his presence.
Yeah, but not now. Willie on the sideline. Fajardo drops it into Naaman Roosevelt for the catch. Close to the first down marker. Trying to get Roosevelt working here.
Yeah, pickup of about 7 there. And just an out route from the two receiver side to the field, and long throw to pick up 7. They did it well on that 1st and 10 play right there. Looking for some more of that.
Blue Bombers showing blitz. Knowing that that was coming. Run and play here. 2 and out. After that Shot.
Yeah, just look at all these people coming up here just filling in. They're all just going to come right downhill and fill in the gaps. And they're going to come in those areas, and each one of them taking a gap say, yeah, come to me. And rally the football. Kyrie Wilson taking him down, forcing a punt.
Willie, a spectator, but a cheerleader on that series.
Watch what Winnipeg does to this long snapper here.
Getting to John Ryan, end over end for Janarian Grant. Down he goes at the 36-yard line. 14-3 Winnipeg. Strebler back to work in his office when we come back. Well, period 3 of our triple header coming up. Bo Levi Mitchell coming off a win last week. Trevor Harris still has never beaten the Calgary Stampeders. Back at Commonwealth tonight after this one, the rematch. Triple header day, triple header Saturday, week 13. Sandwiched in the middle, the Strummers, the Banjo Bowl. By the way, what a day for sports fans. Bianca Andreescu has taken a set from Serena Williams at the U.S. Open. And also on TSN. Busy day, picture in picture in picture in picture. Got your mobile app going.
That was pretty impressive. Johnny Augustine taking a couple people with him on the, and then he contacts Moncrief and sends Moncrief flying back. Nice, powerful run by the young running back, Johnny Augustine.
TSN 4-5 has the tennis today.
Yeah, that late game that we have, Calgary at Edmonton. Bo Levi Mitchell looking to become the all-time Calgary Stampeders win column with 72, surpassing our own Henry Burris back in the studio.
Play action. Strebler's all the way, it looked like. Looks like he'll move the sticks once more.
Yeah, closing in on 60 yards rushing here in the first half. And that has been his forte. Averages just about a little over 5 yards a carry, but boy, it seems like a lot more than that. But he does this often, takes on a lot of peoples and a lot of bodies at the same time. And how long can he continue to do that?
Chris Strebler, who went to South Dakota Coyotes after being at Minnesota as a receiver.
Yeah,
he had already graduated, already had his education, got a master's as a matter of fact. Took some more courses because he wanted to play quarterback.
How about that, huh? Brawn and brains.
Right, young man, loads of talent. A lot of people have said that, you know, along with Cody Fajardo and others we've watched really this season, because it's been a season of backups, kind of the faces of the future perhaps down the road here in the Canadian Football League as far as stars go.
Yeah, really felt comfortable walking out of the sit-downs yesterday with Sir Leski and yourself and Dennis Boyat, Chris Edwards and the gang, and you know, you look at each other, it's like, wow, that was pretty special. Having Winnipeg and Saskatchewan sit down and the presence they had on camera.
Yeah, both quarterbacks. Classy young guys. Loads of talent. Oh, that one was almost picked. Purifoy on Adams. Right at the junction. And so now Justin Medlock will come out and kick it back to the Riders.
Yeah, he's going to run a little bang back in. Lucius reads the route. Almost undercuts it, and he's like, he feels like he should have had that one, I must say.
You got your punishment.
Dropping down and giving us 20.
Give it to him. Justin Medlock. Shadows almost enveloping the entire field now. Down near the south zone in the far sideline.
Wow.
Good boot. Thigpen. There's 12. Marcus Thigpen. Dropped by Derek Jones at the 15.
Available intelligent around view monitor and standard rear cross traffic alert. Don't settle for less than the Nissan Rogue.
Can he talk like that, Rod? I know Henry can. I know Rod can. I know I can.
Yeah. It's Craig Dickinson. He's on the field before the game doing his own push-ups and sit-ups.
Yeah, he was.
Getting the workout in.
I counted maybe 15. I walked over to him and interrupted him. And he says, thank God you came over. I wasn't going to get many more.
Fajardo.
Manny.
And Manny Arsenault keeps his reception streak going. The former Lions star, now 108 games and streaking.
Yes, 12th catch in the season. A little over 90 yards, really not many numbers. In fact, 16 and 17. He had 100 or more catches in both of those years and really tapered off this year coming off that major knee surgery last season. Trying to regain his form, and he's been a check down guy and very, very valuable for them in their leadership in the locker room as well.
Trying to find the end zone as a rider. Fajardo, play action both sides into the sunshine. Karan Moore, no way. And again, this offense just can't seem to get unwound. 2nd and 2.
You got William Powell in the backfield, and you're throwing a wide side sit-down route, trying to pick up 2 yards when you need to, move the chains and sustain a drive, and now you're off the football field, potentially.
Janarian Grant, his first game, had 2 returns for a touchdown. Speed to kill. John Ryan played in the first Banjo Bowl.
Yeah.
16 years ago. Still got a monster leg. This is a shortish kick. Will draw in no yards. Look out! Grant's gonna go! See ya! See you! There is a flag down, but I think it's no yards. Janarian Grant has done it again.
Oh, yeah. That penalty's declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
Janarian Grant jumps up, shoots the gap, and he gone. He gone.
Yeah, he does a great job of playing this and catching in the air, and he's fearless right there, and he just splits them. Breaks 3 arm tackles right there. John Ryan tries to undercut it, and he's off to the races, and you're not catching him. Boy, he's just walking into the end zone, taunting Saskatchewan as he gets there, and boy, that breaks this one wide open early.
Well, we talked about all the returns early in the season. Unprecedented 18 returns early on. There haven't been kick returns over the last 3 weeks, but Janarian Grant breaks the spell, and now 19 kick return touchdowns this season. And Janarian Grant, in his first season as a Blue Bomber, first season in Canada, has 3 of those.
It's just crazy.
Faster than Wi-Fi.
No Lucky Whitehead, no problem.
Getting set for halftime of the Banjo Bowl. We'll talk all Bombers about a couple of impressive drives, including that first one. Their defense will also look ahead to the Battle of Alberta, the rematch between the Stamps and the Eskimos in Edmonton. Back to Rod and Matty.
Yeah, so far this Banjo Bowl struck the right chord for Blue Bomber fans. Lots of football left. Janarian Grant, the newcomer, the 25-year-old out of Rutgers. Now 3 punt return touchdowns at 2 in 1 game. His first ever CFL game against Calgary over a month ago. Roughriders could use one from Purifoy. He's flattened 22.
We were talking about this last night, what you have to do and trust that you have the blocks in front of you, and sometimes you just have to hit that hole fearless, and that's what he is. He's fearless here, and he just knifes it basically straight down the football field, breaks 3 arm tackles, and coasts into the end zone and blows it wide open here. Janarian Grant, no Charles Nelson, no Lucky Whitehead, no problem for Winnipeg.
Yeah, Lucky says, all right. Lucky Whitehead, he has made an impact in his first season in Winnipeg too. Out this game. So Saskatchewan has to claw back in a big way. 21-3 they trail. Moore dodges one, slips a tackle. Positive yardage. It'll set up 2nd and manageable.
Yeah, this is another long throw to get minimal yards, half the first down, and Kyron Moore shows you his slipperiness, how quick and elusive he is. It takes 3 or 4 Bombers to bring him down.
Already 3 2-and-outs for the Roughriders today. Not good enough for a team that has been really good in that department this season. Fajardo, deep shot. Shaq Evans juggles. No. Shaq Evans wanted a call here, not getting one.
Yeah, and he's
Marcus Sayles one-on-one in coverage.
Yeah, you're just going to watch this here, and then his outside receiver is going to get here, and you're going to watch Sayles get over the top. And I thought this was going to be an interception, and the ball was late. Actually, really nice play on the ball by Shaq Evans, and Marcus Sayles is waiting on the spot as that ball was late. Gave his receiver a chance. Luckily, no flag on the play. I thought that was going the other way. The momentum would have stayed with Winnipeg in a big way if Marcus Sayles picks that one. Needless to say, going to get the ball back.
Another kick, end over end. Grant. Not this time.
Oh, they shut the door.
He's been a game changer. How about this breaking news for you? As the NFL season is about to kick off, Sunday Night Football, Week 1, we've got the Pittsburgh Steelers against the New England Patriots. The Steelers, remember when they had this guy named Antonio Brown, who then went off-kilter the last little while?
Off-kilter's an understatement.
Guess what? He just signed with the New England Patriots, a one-year deal, $15 million.
What's going on there?
Well, what's going on with Antonio Brown as well? People might say both sides, and now he ends up with the Patriots, the defending Super Bowl champions.
It just seems like the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing, and
well, they let him do a whole lot, maybe too much. The leash was
I would have jettisoned him a long time ago.
Johnny Augustine scrummed in the backfield for a loss.
I'm glad to see Mayock do that. You know, I think that's probably his call, probably saving his job as far as I'm concerned, because he was really putting a rock in a hard place when they brought him back to the club, and then next thing you know, he's shipped off to New England, and I think it was Mayock saying, no, that ain't happening in my club.
How about the video that Antonio Brown produced with the phone call from John Gruden? I mean, that would be grounds for release right away after that.
I mean, just enough of the self-promotion. Just go out there and leave it on the football field.
He'll play against his former team tomorrow. Stravler. Loads of time here. Good coverage. Augustine.
Nice tackle. One of my favorite players. You don't hear a lot from him because they never throw his way. L.J. McCray from Catawba. That's his 11th tackle on the season. They just don't go his way very often, and when they do, he shuts them down. I like this kid, 21 from Catawba.
Yeah, guy
making things happen.
Played in the NFL. Matty, as a matter of fact, was a former 49er.
Yeah, got good size and sure tackler. Boy, in open field, made that one look easy.
So despite that 2-and-out by Saskatchewan, Bombers didn't use much time in their 2 plays, a 2-and-out and 2 returners back now. They're going to get the football back, and Saskatchewan could get some mojo heading into the locker room. Down a lot, needs some points.
Oh, wow.
Here's another big kick. Big Pen trying to find a gap. He does, near side now, and he is pushed out of bounds. Kyrie Wilson is there. And so Cody Fajardo largely ineffective. This Saskatchewan offense that can be lethal, but the Winnipeg defense also coming up huge here in this first half.
Yeah, putting themselves in second and manageable most of the time when the times they had the football and a chance to sustain drives, and really hadn't picked it up on those situations. Credit Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense, and then the Winnipeg Blue Bomber offense. Sometimes the best defense is offense, and Saskatchewan just hasn't had the ball much in the first half.
Fajardo, a Nevada star, former Argo. Does the bootleg here, and Fajardo, like Stravler, can run, gets out there. They came in 8th and 9th respectively, these fleet-footed quarterbacks. Fajardo wears number 7, used to wear 17.
Yeah, and this is designed. You see him, the end crashes, he beats. He gets the edge, and then he just outruns everybody and shows you that he's got a little something in the tank.
1st and 10. Time ticks to halftime. Fajardo, nobody there, is hammered. Ball loose. Who's got it?
Well, I don't know. That was a
Looks like Winnipeg had it. But Fajardo was swarmed. It's Blue Bomber football. Willie Jefferson and that Bomber front feasting today on green and white.
Yeah, watch Willie. He's standing up, coming right unabated to the quarterback as Fajardo's trying to throw it. Willie comes underneath his arm. Here he comes. Watch him snipe through here. Just straight to the quarterback. Puts a big lick on Fajardo's right throwing arm. Fajardo's grabbing his forearm. In the meantime, there's a melee for the football. Willie's doing backflips, and his teammates come up with the ball. That's huge with just under a minute to go.
That might be the best backflip by a 6'6" guy with a 6'10" wingspan.
After you've just wreaked havoc on your nemesis on the Banjo Bowl and played 30 minutes of football, you're able to do backflips in celebration. Pretty impressive. Mad scramble for the football here, and who gets it?
It is being reviewed. All turnovers are reviewed. They just got the green flag. It is Winnipeg ball. More concerned about Fajardo and that arm. Making sure he's all right. This is a team that lost Zach Collaros.
And if you're Chris Strevler here, you don't have to, I mean, I like sudden change. Might think about going deep, but be smart with it.
Good chance to add to their tally before halftime. Already in field goal position. Strebler threads the needle. Wolotarski.
Strevs took a big hit right there, too. And, well, he's feeling that one. He's buckled over in pain. And he realizes it. He said, I got to play a game here. Just got to shelf that one and move on. I think it's Charleston Hughes that gets to him. They're going no huddle here and why not with 30 seconds on the clock.
Strebler looked like he was wincing. Quickly gets behind center again. It's second and short. Looked like he almost wanted to take a knee of some kind. Now he's got the edge. Gets it back to Peterman.
There he goes.
Mr. Banjo Bowl down to the 5. First and goal, 18. And you've got some time if you're Winnipeg now to work with to pump this to the end zone.
And there's Daniel Peterman, a little fake short yardage quarterback sneak. And then here's McCray, open field. He misses a tackle on Sweet Feet Peterman and picks up a major first down.
Up the pipe, Augustine. No signal. No signal. 12 to go. Thought he had penetrated that goal line, broken the plane, but the Bombers are going to line up here and go second and goal.
Yeah, why not when you got Strebler? It's a nice run, just gutting it, breaking tackles. Cameron Judge is hanging on. And
Strebler, left side, touchdown, flag down. Riders may have lined up offside.
Offside, Saskatchewan. That penalty's declined. Result of the play is a touchdown.
Chris Strebler, 2 scores in the first half, and right now the Saskatchewan Roughriders are reeling and shaking their heads. It's been all Winnipeg.
And going to the left side over Hardrick, Bryant, both over there. Big tackles, the bookends are side by side, hip to hip, and they paved the way for Strevs on that one. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are second in the league in points off of turnovers, and they capitalized on a big one right there.
So there are going to have to be some serious adjustments at halftime from the green and white.
Yeah, just adjust your chin strap and tighten it up a little bit if you're the Riders.
Have to bury, you have to flush the first half completely. What a different ball game compared to last week. All defense last week came down to a walk-off kick. Riders, as Craig Dickinson brings them to midfield and huddles with them. Right now down 28-3.
Yeah, it's been all momentum. It's been defense. It's been Strev using his legs. And then a couple of young guys just continuing to make a name for themselves in a Winnipeg Blue Bomber uniform. And Janarius Grant and, of course, Daniel Peterman. And, well, this is an impressive bounce-back game. First 30 minutes of it anyways for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
Yeah, the momentum really shifted, even though Winnipeg had the lead. That Janarius Grant return lit up this house.
Yeah.
And it
Fearless play by him.
Saskatchewan has had a real tough time coming off the canvas, but again, there's still another half to play.
Yeah, we'll see if Fajardo is okay. He took a hit there by Willie Jefferson, a flush hit to his throwing arm, and grabbed his forearm right away. We haven't seen him since, because the Bombers have had the football taking care of business, and that man right there has had a nice first half.
So Craig Dickinson, who is, like Michael Shea, special teams guru, now as a head coach, may have tried to devise something here with 9 seconds to go. Might see them try to flip the ball around here a little bit. And wisely, the Bombers kind of pooch this kick, and it's all bad for Saskatchewan right here. Down to 5 seconds. I don't think that's what they had in mind on that return, but Medlock bounces it down. So Fajardo's all right, it looks like.
Yeah, and Blackie, he's only had the ball for like 9 minutes this first half, and that may be a good thing, the way the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense is playing, the way they're bringing the heat and laying licks on number 7.
Well, everyone talked this week about the importance of this one. Saskatchewan wins this, share of first place, and they take the season series despite what would happen on the 5th of October. And unless the Riders can do something completely different, this series is going to be knotted at 1, but we still have a half to play. Lots of Chris Streveler, lots of Darvin Adams and Johnny Augustine, lots of blue and gold. Janarian Grant, huge return, but all defense as well from the blue and gold in this Banjo Bowl beatdown at halftime. Here's Rod Smith. Back in Winnipeg for the Banjo Bowl second half. Who's been more dominant, Bianca Andreescu at the U.S. Open over Serena Williams, or the Winnipeg Blue Bombers over the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the half? Not many saw this one coming, and I'm sure neither did head coach Greg Dickinson, who is with Sarah Orlesky.
Craig, what's the first step to trying to mount a comeback in the second half?
Honestly, we just told them one play at a time. I mean, they're working us over right now across the board. I told the guys, this is the second half for pride. We want to go out, play hard, play well, but the main thing is stay together, because we got a long ways to go, but that's why you play the second half.
Are they doing anything in that first half that you guys weren't expecting?
Well, they're doing a nice job across the board, and they're playing very physical. They're breaking tackles. We got to tackle better, and we just got to bring a little more energy.
Thanks so much, Craig.
Marcus Thigpen on the return. Saskatchewan gets a chance out of the gate here. It's good that the Riders get the ball if they're going to mount this comeback. Winnipeg started this game off with a clock bleeding drive, almost ate up half the first quarter.
8 minutes and 28 seconds, 100-yard drive, 15 plays. Something you see in the National Football League. Typically it's an explosive league, but they just marched it down and imposed their will on Saskatchewan early and never let up.
Never let up. Big play from Janarian Grant. That was the difference right now in so many ways. Now a tight formation. Cody Fajardo, read option, decides to hang on to the football and carry it himself. So now it's another second down, and this is where the Riders are getting killed, is on second down.
Dan Clark was really upset for one of his teammates out there, and his fellow offensive lineman who was injured on the play, and that was Trent Bond. As he stays in the ball game and sucks it up, and boy, the look on Dan Clark's face and the way he was yelling at the sidelines looked like he was in serious pain, but he just
dropping it off to Manny Arsenault.
got 2nd and 8. You run a 5-yard out, get tackled for a 5-yard gain. It's still looking at 3rd and short situation.
3rd and short.
Looks like 2 yards.
Yeah, it's 2 yards, and it looks like Dickinson is huddling up his special teams on the sideline, so he will send out his punt team. Saskatchewan just 1 for 7 on second downs in that first half. It says a lot about their inability offensively, but more so about Winnipeg's defense in this one. As Dickinson had said, They came out angry today and played full tilt on all 3 phases. So John Ryan, China native, coming back north of the border. Years in the NFL.
They said that's why he came back, to play in that environment he had last week, and to finish it off the way they did. Seemed probably like a lifetime ago based on the way this first half has gone, but John Ryan certainly enjoyed himself last week.
They're keeping it out of the hands and feet of Janarian Grant. Well, it was Grant, but it also was a lot about the game management by the sophomore Chris Streveler.
Yeah, he was backed up. I mean, this was a 100-yard drive, and he was flushed, and he got some help from the Saskatchewan defense, but boy, he just gutted it out, and I loved what I saw in that first half. Chris Streveler playing to his strengths, and you can see he can touch it and float it in there. He finds Daniel Peterman, and he's found the end zone twice in that first half alone, and imposed his will on his offensive teammates. He really had it going there in the first half, and they got the ball back already.
Streveler, who wears 17, a number that Fajardo used to wear. There is Bailey once more, puts it to his left hand, and I'll tell you one thing, here is a guy who wants to stay in the lineup. Well, Streveler used to wear 15 in college.
Right.
That's his number, but 15 here in Winnipeg is owned by this guy.
That's right, and 7-2 on the season. 4-1 in these Banjo Bowls. Last year, he'd like to forget about that one, but he's been dominant in these games, and he's certainly imparted his knowledge there to Sean McGuire, number 12, and the guy on the field making it happen right now, Chris Streveler.
Nichols, who is on the sideline for the second game after suffering what appeared to be an arm or shoulder injury. They're very quiet and secretive about it, and some people have thought it might be longer than 6 games, but right now Streveler is holding the fort. Ches Purifoy is down. We'll step aside and come back to Investors Group Field in Winnipeg.
It's not just the field, and it's not just the fans. Mosaic Stadium is about family. Game day tickets on sale now.
Next week, the Roughriders home to the Montreal Alouettes, who opened Week 13 in the Canadian Football League last night. The win over the BC Lions, who still are stuck at 1 win on the season. The Owls hanging on. And the Saskatchewan Roughrider team leading its defense to ignite them right now. Johnny Augustine into the arms of Sully Alamimian. Saul drags him down. There is Alamimian. It's still a little different seeing him in green and white, but he loves it.
Watch Sully step into this hole here. That's not the one here. Watch him step into this hole here. Step into it. Whack, go meet him. Get low. Hang on. Well, that's not fair when you got help from the offensive lineman like that. Pushing on the pile. Sully did his best there to hold him a second.
Streveler, 2nd and 6. Bailey once more.
Where are you going?
And Bailey.
He knew where he had to go. He knew he made a mistake. Cameron Judge right on him there.
Right to the first down marker. It looks like he'll move the sticks. Yeah. Bailey's having himself a day.
Yeah, you know, they found him, 3 or 4 times and coming across in some short yardage situations, and he's made good. And makes a nice move on Cameron Judge. He's forced to because he started going the wrong way and realized it and picked up the first down.
Product of Delaware Valley, an Aggie, Division III football. Bailey said this week that he wants people to take notice and remember number 88, and so far today he's done well. Streveler.
Got him.
Look at that.
Got him.
He's got him. And Johnny Augustine to the end zone.
Get there.
Did he?
Put him up.
Touchdown, Winnipeg. How about that play as they head to the end zone? Johnny Augustine has has his first touchdown of 2019.
Yeah, and this is a nice fake by Strebler and a fly sweep, and then he spots the ball perfectly. Ed Gainey doesn't even know the ball's coming over his shoulder, and then Augustine makes a nice shoestring catch, and then amazingly finds a way to the end zone and stretches out here as he runs away.
Did he get in? Oh, yes, bravo. Look at that,
tight.
right at the cone at the pylon.
Boy, that's tight.
Johnny Augustine, Guelph Griffin.
Boy, I'm just cheering for the effort there. I don't care what team it is. I can just tell you that's just a heck of an effort right there. Johnny Augustine and a quarterback, Chris Strebler, connecting, looking good. Two youngins getting it done here on the Banjo Bowl.
What a difference a week makes for the Blue Bombers. They are full steam ahead here. Johnny Augustine's second start with Andrew Harris away from the team after the suspension, and Augustine making good here today. His first score of 2019 is a memorable one at the Banjo Bowl. Johnny Augustine, who carries a chip, maybe a couple of chips on those shoulder pads. A guy who went undrafted and was so highly thought of heading into the draft a couple of years ago, but Kyle Walters and the Blue Bombers loved Johnny Augustine, kept him on the radar. He's happy to be here, and he's making people start to know his name.
Yeah, you get a lot of doors closed in your face as an athlete, particularly as you're trying to pursue a career in sport. And you just got to keep believing in yourself, and that's what that young man did. And it's paying off for him now as he's playing the absence of Andrew Harris.
Roughriders must feel like they're in a blue and gold blender right now. Down 35-3. Not many saw this coming.
Yeah, Blackie, he had a 55-yarder. Watch this little fake and the fly sweep, and watch this sweet little fake by Strav. Little bow. Look at it. Yeah, give it to him, take it away, set your feet, and just feather one nicely in there to Augustine, who had a 55-yard romp last week, and then this big catch and run and touchdown effort. Absolutely love it. These guys are feeling it today, and Saskatchewan's got to make some hay while the sun's up here.
Got a lot of work to do. Still lots of time left. Got to stop the bleeding somehow, and what a catch by Shaq Evans.
Chandler Fenner can't believe that ball was caught.
May have been dropped here. Riders might do well to get right to the line of scrimmage.
Watch this battle. Just like
pass interference.
Well, they're saying
Winnipeg
interference anyway.
Point of foul, automatic first down.
So it was dropped, but the interference call. So, and what did Craig Dickinson say? Little by little, but you know, as time is wasting, you're going to have to start stretching it. They haven't had many big plays here today.
No, and that's exactly what Winnipeg's had. We saw Janarian Grant do his thing. We've seen Strevs do his thing. You break tackle after tackle. Johnny Augustine on the big catch and run. 4 plays, 84 yards, 2 minutes and 20 seconds is a scoring drive, and Saskatchewan's looking to answer.
5 first downs all game for Saskatchewan, and that is their 6th.
Wow.
What a tight window. Fajardo threw that.
I mean, even the last play on the PI, you know, Fenner was in all over Evans. Yeah, he interfered with him, but that one there was, like you said, Rod, really tight window, and they're trying to bring more people on the line of scrimmage to buy him some more time, and Marcus Sales is right in the hip pocket. It's a nice throw and catch on the end for Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Shaq Evans again, big playmaker. They need big plays. The Roughriders getting swamped here in this Banjo Bowl. Fajardo trying to get some space. Here they come again. The Bomber blitz. And a good read to Justin McInnes. And that's one way to avoid the pressure. Stop that pressure.
Well, yeah, we saw it last week in the final drive Saskatchewan had to claim the Labor Day Classic. Fajardo going 5 for 5 on that drive. And on a blitz similar to that, hit Shaq Evans on a quick slant and beat it there. And he did it just another time. And now Winnipeg's run defense has been spectacular.
Kyrie Wilson got there first on William Powell.
Living in the backfield, William Powell lost 3 yards on the play in 2nd and 1. Sask gonna have to punt the football here.
Well, Blue Bombers are such an old school throwback team in some ways. They lead the CFL in rushing. They're #1 in rush yards against, best run defense, and they're last in passing.
Now this may be an opportunity for Saskatchewan to run a fake here in this field position.
So now Sean Ryan into Winnipeg territory. Definitely going to try to angle this. 6 inside the 10. Grant might just let this one fly. Bounces and give up the Rouge. Riders get a measly point. They're down large. Big news for Canada when we come back.
Just a few minutes ago in Flushing Meadows, extraordinary moment for Canadian sports. Bianca Andreescu defeats Serena Williams, first Canadian ever to win the U.S. Open. 6-3, 7-5, straight sets, no less. Andreescu, women's U.S. Open champion, back to Rod and Maddie in Winnipeg.
And what unbelievable news for Canadian sports fans.
Yeah, we were all watching it there as much as we could to halftime.
Absolutely incredible.
Watching the drama unfold and Serena fighting back, and Andreescu said, not today.
There goes Bailey on a jet sweep, and Rasheed Bailey, straight arm.
Hey, Rod, you said a comment earlier, Delaware Valley, Division III football. You're a football player, they'll find you.
They will find you.
A ball player is a ball player. It doesn't matter what level you're playing at. Oftentimes it's hard to differentiate between a spectacular player at different levels because it's hard to correlate one to the other. But at the end of the day, it's all upon the individual, and this young guy stepping up to the plate with this opportunity today.
This Winnipeg team stepping up large, 35-4. Saskatchewan only score. Brett Lowther field goal and a Rouge. 1st and 10. They put it on the ground to Augustine.
Yeah, and that's coming off the edge. You've got Nick Marshall made a nice play there in a run stop on 1st and 10. Just came right off the edge and corralled Augustine before he got ahead of steam going downhill. Nick Marshall showing you he can do just about everything. Playing a little hot over the last 3 or 4 weeks. We saw early confrontation in this ball game in the end zone after Winnipeg stuffed it down their throats, and he didn't take too kindly to that. But Nick Marshall, boy, he's talented on that corner.
Might be one of the greatest athletes in the league right now. His ability to play on both sides of the ball was seen in the NCAA. Was a former quarterback at Auburn. Now Strebler, former receiver at Minnesota, turned quarterback in South Dakota. Now a backup turned starter in Winnipeg because of injury, and that's a 2-and-out for the Blue Bombers, and Saskatchewan will get it back.
Yeah, you got Charleston Hughes here coming along with a little help from Micah Johnson. Charleston just getting on his horse and going around the outside, and there's two dogs right there just hunting down their prey, and they get to him before he can get ahead of steam going as he cuts back into him and feels the wrath of number 39 and number 2.
Nice job, Alex. Good work.
Saskatchewan team just 1 sack to Winnipeg's 3 in this ball game. Charleston Hughes.
Was that considered a sack there? No? Pretty close.
Spiraling kick. And out of bounds on the fly, it looked like, and that could be a penalty. No signal yet. We'll find out. Roughriders getting a rough ride in Winnipeg today. Fajardo back at it in a moment. Not much yardage given up, not many points, just 4. Richie Hall's defense today, the longtime defensive coordinator and the guru for Winnipeg. Let's go down to the sideline again. Here's Sarah.
Well, Rod, that last-minute loss to the Riders last week certainly didn't sit well with Richie Hall. It didn't sit well, obviously, with anyone on that defense. When you look, Willie Jefferson said that it's bothered everybody all week that was on that play for the final 3 minutes. When you look at Richie Hall, though, when he described it, he said that, look, we weren't aggressive enough and that they were playing as if they were waiting for someone else to make that play. Obviously, that has not been the case today. This defense came out with something to prove, and when you look at what they've been able to do so far through 3 quarters, they're certainly trying to send a message today.
Well, message clearly sent. Game's still not over. But look at the bottom line right there. 35-4. Fajardo, 1st and 10. There's the rush once more. Spins out of the tire. And Fajardo able to race for a 1st down. Cody Fajardo looked like he might have been sacked there by one of the global players, Cedric Hansen.
Listen to you, Rod, throwing out the quarterback lingo, stepping outside the tire.
You taught me that, my brother.
Yeah, and that's a drill and a move that you work on 24/7 as a young quarterback, and Cody Fajardo did it to perfection there.
Hansen, number 3 out of Germany, top picks in the global league. There was a shot to Damon Roosevelt, couldn't hang on.
Yeah, tough ball for him to catch, and he feels like he should have had it, but I know Cody Fajardo wants that one back. Didn't spot it well enough for Roosevelt to come out cleanly with the ball. 2nd and 10.
So the Bombers out there with Jonathan Kongbo, Cedric Hansen using some of their understudies right now. Here they come once more. Fajardo drops it into Winnipeg territory for Roosevelt.
That's such a good analogy right there, because he just dropped it right in there, Rod. Bang on with that, Colin, and just spotted the ball beautifully. And to see if he gets his arms up underneath this. Yeah, he's good. Naaman. Got me the 1st time. 2nd time, I'm squeezing.
Fajardo having trouble with the noise. Can't hear the plays in his speakers in his helmet.
Interesting what Craig Dickinson did this week in trying to battle this noise.
Fajardo, deep shot. Roosevelt might have saved an interception there by going up.
Yeah, so oftentimes you hear coaches infuse noise into the speakers and loud system, and you really practice under duress, and so much noise is being blasted in your ear. And what Craig Dickinson did was
he went quiet.
Went the other way. And so basically you just had to sign signals to one another, which often is the case when it's loud, and just communicate that way. And I thought that was very unique, and they're going to continue to do that and put that more and more in their repetition in order to deal with this noise.
Who would have thought their offense would have gone as silent, though?
Yeah.
They need to turn up their own volume now. Look out again. Fajardo feels the pressure and hustles out. He's going to get a 1st down and a little more. Great awareness from Cody Fajardo.
Yeah, and as they come off the edge, Cody feels it and feels the pressure. Came off late, and he just steps up in the middle of the pocket, and he's got all this green in front of him. We know he can run, and it makes that look relatively easy.
Riders finally moving the ball here. Quick hitter, Evans.
Oh, man.
Right in front of Kyrie Wilson and others.
That is no man's land right there. And I think Shaq was gearing up for contact as Kyrie certainly is in the vicinity, and that ball flashed in front of Kyrie Wilson's arms and right into Evans, and he picks up 6.
7th play of the drive, the longest drive of the day for the Green and White. Pressure again. 1st down. And a little bit more from Manny Arsenault.
Yeah, that's Manny's new role here in this offense, coming off that knee injury. And they certainly got size and strength and leadership capabilities he brings to the football team. But that's going to be his new role for this football team, is in those 2nd down situations, picking up those tough yards, moving chains.
Fajardo trying to end this dry spell for the Riders. Look out again. Stepping out again and going against the grain. And Karan Moore down inside the 10. Karan Moore has another 1st down, another big play. And how about Fajardo feeling it now as Jeff Heck was barreling in.
Yeah, and pressure's coming from right here, I believe. And And you watch it happen. I believe that's Craig Rowe. And well, he's just barreling. No, that's just right off the edge. That's Jeff Hack coming unabated.
Riders who have the best efficiency numbers in the red zone. Second trip to the score zone, the red zone today. Trying to get end zone. It's all Fajardo once more. He'll score untouched.
Cater to these
finally,
kids' legs.
Saskatchewan has found the end zone and something to cheer about in this edition of the Banjo Bowl.
That's what happens, you know, they fight back. Craig Dickinson asked his team to play it one at a time, and this is what Cody Fajardo did on this drive.
This was the Fajardo drive, Matty.
This is a swim move by Drake Nevis, opens up a lane. Willie can't get there, and Cody just walks in. Thanks to the Lord. Gonna go for 2.
Saskatchewan team 2 of 5 on the season on 2-point efforts. They need tons of points here. Add 2, no.
Nice play. That was a beautiful play by Gator. Sam linebacker, well, covered that route beautifully, and he just stuck his right arm out there. Perfect timing, blanketed the receiver, and Fajardo had nothing to throw to.
So a few more ticks left in this third quarter, and the Roughriders are
coming right at you. Look at this play. Step across. Right arm. Not today, Manny. And then right here. Beautiful play. Nice job by the left guard. Taking Drake Nevis where he wants to go on the inside, and Cody reads it and has an easy walk-in touchdown. Saskatchewan back in the groove.
Fajardo's second touchdown of the season. Riders' first of the day. Long time coming.
Way to fight, boys.
And that's it right there. Way to fight. And they're going to need more of that in the fourth. Down 25 points.
And we talked about earlier the gap cancellation, the run blitz that Winnipeg was doing to stop Saskatchewan on the run there. They just had enough bodies. Because what had happened, Saskatchewan emptied the backfield, had 4 receivers to the field, 2 to the boundary, and so they didn't have enough bodies to cover. And so you run a little move inside by Drake Nevis. Guard takes you inside and opens up a big hole for Cody to walk through.
Put it down to Larry Rose. And he goes flying head first. A torpedo near the 30-yard line. Final play, third quarter. Riders finally get to the end zone, but a long way back, and the Bombers undefeated this season when they lead after 3.
Come on down to Winnipeg! Come on down to Winnipeg!
On an historic day for Canadian sports fans, a U.S. Open championship from Bianca Andreescu in New York. Saskatchewan Roughriders cannot find way to break serve against the Blue Bombers today. And you got some Post-it notes out, my brother.
Yeah, I do, and you need them. You know, keep up with this offensive explosion here in the third quarter and what it seems to be. You look at that. This is what John Perberg does for us. You know, Winnipeg, 4 plays, 84 yards, 220. And then Saskatchewan bounces back with the 9-play, 80-yard drive, 439. They're going to need more of this. Well, Winnipeg has cut the time in half and get some more points here in the fourth quarter because they're losing by 25 last I checked.
This is what happens in a 25-point game. And Matt Dunnigan does his Post-it note puppet show.
That's what we do.
Hey, still not over. As you know, no lead is safe in the Canadian Football League, but here it is. The Saskatchewan Roughriders need their defense to come up huge here, and they're going to need something to ignite them.
That's the way the magic works up here, though, Blackie. You know that.
Yes, sir.
Those guys make us look better than we are. Look at that. There's Daniel Peterman.
Again.
Having a nice impact in this game, taking full advantage of him. Every opportunity. And I love that. Here he is, just coming down here in motion. He's going to get upfield and just sit there and make a guy miss and pick up a first down.
Third round
sit
pick.
down. Sit down. You didn't need to turn. He didn't need to turn his back. That's a coachable moment right there. Don't turn your back on the quarterback. Just sit there and pivot like you're pivoting towards the hole in basketball. And that's a coachable moment for him there.
Again, no Nick Dembski today. He fills in for him. Bailey fills in for Lucky Whitehead. Streveler in trouble, tripped over
Stanley Bryant.
Guy, Stanley Bryant. And ended up on top of a rider.
Stanley didn't have to get a big piece to knock you down either.
No.
And
you have to go around
we
Stanley
know how
Bryant.
difficult it is. I don't know, he might have got his stepped on because Trevor comes up limping there. Maybe one of Stanley's big foot got on him and he went down, came up limping, but this is good. This is good possession for Saskatchewan, forcing second and long here.
Winnipeg hasn't thrown for a lot of yardage once more. Have not passed for 200 yards or more over 5 straight games. Should exceed that today, though. And again, the Riders not backing down a bit.
Lucius Purefoy on underneath coverage on a drag route, got underneath the throw that Strev was trying to fit in behind him, batted that ball, and it was almost an interception. Lucius Purefoy excited about that play.
Riders do exactly what they have to do.
Yeah, you got to get upfield and make hay right now. I mean, you got to cut those drives in half and go to those 4 plays, 84 yards and 220 type of thing that Winnipeg did.
Well, they need explosive plays. They need big plays. Team that
they're capable of it.
Capable, 5th in the CFL in the big play department. The Blue Bombers are 2nd.
Cody Fajardo is one of the deadliest at going downfield in 20-plus yard completions. Over 45% in that regard, and he's got the ball players to do it if they want to force the issue. But you got to think Winnipeg certainly going to have that in mind.
Setting up a return, 2 returners back. Right down the pipe goes Medlock on a monstrous kick. And nowhere to roam for Karan Moore. Downfield, and they're picking and grinning right now in Winnipeg. Big downfield tackle from Krafala and Zume in the Banjo Bowl. We at TSN want to send our best out to the newest sports fan into the world, Sandy Rose Webb, who was born a couple of weeks ago and brought home yesterday. New daughter of one of our handheld camera stars, Simon, and his wife, Heather. There he is. Congrats. Back at it. You got to do a lot more of that because you got a college education to pay for down the road, my friend. But congratulations to Simon and Heather and Sandy Rose. Welcome. Papa back at it. Cody Fajardo back at it. Naaman Roosevelt comes back for it. Jeff Heck drags him down.
Nice open field tackle by Jeff Heck. His name is trying to make something out of nothing there. Long field out. Late, Cody Fajardo finds his go-to guy over the last several weeks. 9 catches, 83 yards last week, and going to have to come up big here in the 4th quarter.
Blue Bombers showing pressure almost every play. It's made it very difficult for Fajardo today. Heck showing safety blitz. Now he retreats. Fajardo now has time. Cody rolling, and tightrope act on the sideline. Justin McInnes, they're saying yes, nodding their head.
Wow, I don't know if he had security. They'll take a look at it again. Willie Jefferson over there playing official. He's signaling for his bench to check that one out a little closer, but
that's the view coming up here from the Simon camera, new Papa cam, and that is really close. And they're talking about it. The eye in the sky can look at it. McInnes is.
You just want to get the call right, and that's what it's there for.
Was it out of bounds?
Incomplete.
First of all, they're saying incomplete. Pierrefonds, Quebec native, has a catch taken away. Played college ball at Arkansas State. Nice addition to the Rider team. 6th overall draft pick in the 2019 Canadian College Draft, and that means the kick team has to come out again.
Chain crew thought that it was going to be a first down. They had moved, so the officials had to set them right up again. And A lot of bodies moving all over that football field. If you're new to the game, that would have confused you, no doubt.
Here's the danger zone right now where John Ryan is booting from. Near his goal line, and Janarian Grant is back. Yep. Bombers are going to get good field position, and Grant's already taken one back to the house today. But he's going to angle it once more.
Got a chance here.
Here's Grant, makes one miss. Not the second. But good starting point for Chris Streveler and the Blue Bombers. And a banner day on Banjo Day in Winnipeg. Chris Streveler bashing and crashing. Blue Bombers up large in the 2019 edition. Well, Chris Streveler, everybody knows about how big he is and the arm he's got, but he's got fast feet. This was his pro day last year. 4.47 40 for a guy who's a quarterback, but a talented one. Here's Sarah.
I don't know if you can see in that video, but what was he wearing on his feet? Not your typical cleats that you usually see. Ultra high tops, as he described them, something that he continues to wear right now. How did he get into those? Well, he said that when he was training for his pro day, he came in from out of town, actually forgot his cleats. So he did what anyone would do. He went to the Lost and Found. He found some Spider-Man cleats, size 11, slight problem when you're size 13 feet, but he said he stuffed his feet in. Ended up having a really good training day, he said, so he went out, he bought a pair, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Spider-Man.
That's just crazy.
Yeah, well, there's...
First of all, yeah.
They're the shoes.
Yeah, and I asked him about his shoes at sit-down yesterday. He said, no, these are my practice shoes, and those look like practice shoes. And then that's when he told us about this story, and he says they actually go up higher, and they do like a boot, and he just loves the feel around his ankle, and the way he runs the ball. Well, he needs that support because he's liable to run right out of his shoes.
They look like wrestling boots. Streveler, can he ever run those? Scrambling now, and he threw it down. That could be grounding.
Yeah.
Likely a flag here at some point. Will they throw one? And there was nobody in the area. It was behind the line of scrimmage. There's the flag coming out now, and that was clearly grounding. There's one little blemish on Streveler's day, which has been a real good one.
Well,
intentional grounding. When you Winnipeg number 17. Penalties, a loss of down from where the ball was thrown.
Yeah, he hung on to the ball too long there. And when you've got Charleston Hughes chasing around the football field, you're going to need some shoes with some lift in them, some flying shoes. And Strev's just trying to avoid contact there and doesn't do either. Picks up a penalty and a hit. And I get it.
You know what the moral of that whole story is? Never discount what's in a Lost and Found.
Yeah, well,
those aren't the Lost and Found shoes, by the way.
Look at him.
And by the way, he doesn't spat, and that's one of the reasons he wears the high tops.
Doesn't spat, and he doesn't tape his ankles either, and that's why he likes those. That ball was quick snap, and Medlock wasn't even ready.
And again, with no Chad Rempel, Medlock again was able to get that away. So you said it earlier in the ball game, and I thought it's a really good comparison. Streveler's a little hot right now under the collar.
Yeah, and I get it, but he reminds me a lot of a guy I played against, Ken Hobart from Idaho. Played in the league for 5 years, and Ken was a big, strong quarterback that played to his strengths, and that was running the football. And he could chunk it too, like Chris Streveler down the football field. And he was a nightmare for a lot of defenses because he did this 24/7.
This is very Streveler-like, isn't it?
He's just a beast.
Fajardo now firing down the rail, and a great catch made, and big yards. One of the biggest plays of the day for the Roughriders, and again, it's McInnes.
Yeah, and this is a nice throw by Cody Fajardo, who continues to compete here and pressure in his face and run a little switch route there and spots it beautifully.
Roughriders need more of this again.
Cody can't hear the play. Finally gets it with 7 seconds on the clock.
Sold out IGF. And loud. That time he spun right into the sack. And the free safety, Jeff Hecht, has his second sack of the season.
You're absolutely right. And then Jeff Hack was waiting there for him and went too many times to the well, and he comes right off the edge, and you watch Cody spin right into the arms of 2-9, waiting on him right there. Jeff Heck was not letting him break contain that time. He hadn't committed to his inside shoulder, kept him on his inside, and did a nice job of open field tackle on a tough player to take down.
Second down and an area code. 23 to go. 4 Winnipeg sacks today. They lay back. Fajardo goes over the top.
Wow, picked up 22 of those.
More.
Maybe a first down.
They're going to mark this almost right at the first down marker, and it is going to be a first down. It looks like from here. How about that play? Clutch.
I love the route. Just having one guy come over the top. You've got Manny taking the top off, and you got Naaman Roosevelt taking the second man deep, and then coming underneath on a little dig route. You got Kyron Moore doing his thing.
So they marked it just about a foot shy.
Yeah, it's...
So Brian Bennett, guy who spent some time here in Winnipeg.
Another big body quarterback, strong in the lower half. Got a cannon for an arm, going left to right.
Goes left to right, but it works out. Sometimes you worry when a guy hasn't touched the football all game long.
Yeah, the quarterback center exchange is down there in that situation. It's a little different, and boy, he knows his job, and he made sure that was exchange was nice. Got to reach and ride there, and he found a nice hole to the left side.
Craig Dickinson, you can see his reaction. I know he's not going to be overly excited about what's happened today, but has to be more impressed by the fight in his team here. They're still hanging in. Down big.
Sun glaring right into Bombers defense as they're bringing heat.
And Shaq Evans, and it's picked off.
Guess who it is? Guess who it is?
Winston Rose, the CFL interception leader, has number 8. Well, they say a rose is a rose, but Winston has been more special than any rose.
He's been a bouquet of roses.
Yes, he has.
Working on that. Winston Rose just thieving out there.
Time for Coors Light. Who's been answering the call? Well, Winnipeg's obviously offensively dominating Saskatchewan. Time of possession in the yardage, too, and certainly in the most important, the scoring department. Willie Jefferson, 3 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble. A little better than Charleston Hughes today. Back to Rod Matt.
Well, this one almost put to bed now, thanks to Winston Rose and his 8th interception that leads the Canadian Football League. Former New Mexico star. BC Lions. Streveler still running that football.
Yeah, Blackie. Winnipeg football record for interceptions this season is by Hall of Famer Les Brown. That doesn't surprise me. Maybe Rod Hill should be in that category, but he just played the ball better as Shaq Evans couldn't pick up the football, and Winston did. And, you know, last year he had 5, and he was tip of the iceberg. And this year he's already got 8, and he's chasing Les. And he goes down there and finds a family member and spots the ball beautifully between the 3 and the 0.
Or the Winston Rose fan club.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of number 30s down there.
And there should be, because he's balling this year.
New Mexico State star as mentioned. Streveler still romping. Chatted with him yesterday. He went to school, by the way, with Pascal Siakam, the Toronto Raptor. He's an NBA champion. Sim Bhullar, the Canadian. Winston was there. Yeah. And Winston Rose was a terrific college player, and obviously has translated to the Canadian Football League.
He really has, and he's using his hands to his advantage. He was a receiver at one time, converted over to DB because he just felt like there was too much competition, and there's his whole family, and he's admiring his job right there. And he was pleasant to sit down in interviews yesterday, listen to him talk about his trade and the conversion over. And started last year with 5 interceptions, like I said, and he's just carried over his momentum this year, playing with a lot of confidence, locking down a lot of receivers in the CFL.
Johnny Augustine, carry on first down. Bombers 25 points up, should seem safe.
Yeah, he's listed 171 pounds. And I was questioning that yesterday, having a little banter back and forth. And he plays big, though. He plays big. Talk about big, too. He's got big mitts. We were comparing hands yesterday, and, you know, and when somebody says that, you got to put your hand up. And I put my hand up next to him, and I got big mitts. And he was 5'11". He was, some big mitts. That's all I can say.
Strebler, not done yet. No flags. Like a collision downfield. Was nowhere near the intended target after a little trip up, and Bailey has had a great debut for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers today. That time
certainly has
run over, and now we got
a little heated
grill to grill.
Let me see who it is.
Darvin Adams and cooler heads. Luchez Purifoy in there.
Yeah, you don't want to get chippy right here. You just want to keep your composure and
get it ready.
Stay focused.
Get it ready for what lies ahead. October 5th, round 3.
Yep, and that'll be a huge football game. The way these two clubs are playing.
And
challenge
now a challenge on that play as Ed Gainey's coming over, and he's kind of talking some trash and applauding.
I just don't understand that. To me,
he's coming over to Mike O'Shea.
It's a little over the top.
I've never seen that before. Challenge flag went down. Gainey came romping over, and now he's applauding. And you know, at this point, when the score is the way it is, I can understand the frustration. But none of this is going to help the situation.
Yeah, he's right here, and I think he just trips and gets tangled up with
Winnipeg
Ed.
is challenging the previous play for defensive pass interference on their receiver number 88.
It's like a sniper got him. He just went down on his own.
So that's probably why Ed came over and couldn't believe the challenge flag.
He got snipered out there.
But he had to be careful.
Yeah, but I mean, Ed, you know, we get it. You know, in your mind, the coach is going to burn a challenge, and that's going to go in your favor, and that's a good thing. But
yeah, that one is going to be
down 25.
A quick decision. Quick decision. Here it is.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. It was an incomplete pass. Will be third down. Winnipeg is now out of challenge, and they're being charged a timeout.
Yeah, you know, and I'm Jason Shivers, defense coordinator for Saskatchewan. You know, I'm talking to Ed after the ball game, or when he comes to the sideline and saying, or if I'm Craig Diggins, for that matter, head coach, you got every right to go over there and talk to your people. And there's Jason, who's doing an outstanding job with this defense. And you're saying, hey, just conceptualize, son.
Unnecessary.
You know, just I mean, we're down 25. Let's just play the game, and enough of that.
Let it ride. A few plays away from 3-minute warning. Another big kick. Moore down. Well, every week we turn up the mics on CFL Wired.
I'm your pop. I'm your pop. Respect me, your son. Oh, we gotta go. We gotta go, Coach Earl. Take the field. That's the Hall of Famer. Lock him. Lock him.
CFL Wired coming your way. Yeah. Tuesday, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. Last week it was all about Labor Days. This week it's all about the redemption from Labor Day. Cody Fajardo now out of the ball game. He's going to watch, and probably a good thing at this point. Isaac Harker comes in.
First-year player from Colorado Mines,
which is a D2 school.
He gets a little taste of what the Bombers defense has been serving up today.
There's a flag down on the far side, and maybe at this point it's, you know, best to keep Cody Fajardo on that sideline upright.
Say hello to my little friend.
Theodric Hansen, again, one of the Global League players, the German player, second overall in the global draft.
It's got to feel good, though, right?
Play. Offside. Winnipeg number 19. That penalty's declined. Illegal contact on receiver. Winnipeg number 31. 10-yard penalty. First down.
It still feels good if you're a young man being able to lay a lick at a quarterback, don't care if it's the starter or anybody else, you're out there balling. And Deandrick Henson from Potsdam Royals says hello to everybody here in Winnipeg.
Here is Harker, has had a few tosses this season and throws one to Winnipeg territory just before the warning to McInnes.
You know the heat is coming, and you got to stand in there and deliver a ball down the field, and Isaac Harker does a nice job there at McInnes.
3-minute warning before it's game, set, and match in Winnipeg.
Winnipeg will stay on top in the West, but it's tight in the division. Coming up, the rematch. Calgary versus Edmonton. The Stampeders at 6-4. The Eskimos at 6-5. That one coming up. In the conclusion of the Banjo Bowls, we go back to Rod and Matty.
Yeah, this Banjo Bowl started with Chris Streveler and an opening drive that almost ate up the entire quarter. And it's been all blue and gold since. Last year, Riders swept both ends. Not this time. Parker.
Naaman.
Shadows. Naaman Roosevelt.
There's another nice throw, and Winnipeg's not laying up here. You know, last week in the final drive, Saskatchewan just knifed them for 87 yards in 10 plays and kicked the winner and walk-off. And Winnipeg's not doing that. They're just keeping the foot on the gas here and bringing pressure in Harker's face, and he's doing a nice job of delivering the football down the field.
Saskatchewan win streak that had been at 6 games before today is going to come to a glorious end. We'll get ready for Montreal next week. Moore can't hang on. Chandler Fenner on the corner in Winnipeg. We talked a little bit about it yesterday with the players we chatted with, including head coach Mike O'Shea, about the home cooking here. They have not lost at Investors Group Field. In fact, a streak that goes back to last season, 8 straight, 5-0. They'll be 6-0 this year, and 9 straight here on the University of Manitoba campus.
Chasing a streak that I had the pleasure of being involved with back in 1993 and 4. We had 10 straight here back then, and they're right on the heels of that tremendous football team.
Oh, into traffic, and Manny Arsenault trying to get his first as a Rider. Won't get there.
There you go, Manny. Yeah, I like that. You know, guy's just working hard to get back into it and find his groove, and breaks a tackle and scampers for another 25, 30 yards, and 3rd and 1. This is a big play, and this is what he's got to do. He just shakes off Anthony Gator like he's not even there, and keeps his feet. Shows you what hard work and dedication can get you. Extend your career, redeveloping yourself as a possession receiver. That's what Manny Arsenault is right now, and Saskatchewan's happy to have him.
Isaac Harker maybe trying to get one for his record book, his first touchdown pass.
Give it to him. It's too late.
Manny can't get there.
Chandler,
that kind of day.
Biggie, enjoying this. Why not? You've been dominant today.
And their front line, think about the front four. They haven't been the same front four all game long. They've been swapping and mixing and matching and rotating. Willie's been there all game long mostly.
So is Steven Richardson, first-year player from Minnesota, doing the dirty work along with Drake Nevis from LSU.
2nd and goal. This is for Moore again. Rand Moore can't run under it.
Well, Isaac is just upset with himself. He felt like he had what he wanted. And watch Isaac Harker. Watch him.
Yeah, almost a fist bump. Maybe this time. This close to the goal line, I often wonder why teams, but it's because of those big end zones.
Here we go.
Run that 30-yard pass, but here it is, 3rd and goal. Last chance for Harker to get his first CFL touchdown pass, maybe. No? Yes, he's going back, and he's going down. That pretty much is the exclamation point on a huge Bomber day.
And that's Winnipeg just continuing to bring the hammer and lay it down. And They bring pressure on this one and said, we want to keep our points off the board, and that's what Kyrie Wilson does on that play there. Comes clean off the edge. Harkle didn't have the time to catch his breath. And the other side, you got Willie Jefferson just there, just in case you want to step on the outside the tire. Not going to happen today. Winnipeg dominant defensively.
5 Winnipeg sacks today. Saskatchewan came in protecting their quarterback, the second best rate in the Canadian Football League, but a handful of sacks today. Special day for the Blue Bombers, also for a native Winnipegger. They're Steve Delinick, Winnipeg guy, field judge today in his 300th career game. Congratulations, Stevie. Guy who's been around this league a long time.
Now, he looks like an official, doesn't he? I mean, if there was an official,
a former teammate of mine.
I mean, if there was an official, like an official picture of what an official should look like, I think that right there.
He was a heck of a linebacker in his time.
Hey, looked like he had some nastiness to him.
Yeah, he used to wear that big horse collar.
Respect that guy.
Yeah, great football player, and
look at him coming
comes into the play,
breaking it up.
And every time, apparently, we mention his name, apparently the other members of the officiating staff are giving him a fine. So we can go Steve Delinick, Steve Delinick, Steve Delinick. Yeah, there you go. That's going to cost you a lot of money there. Former Winnipeg Hawkeye. And
teammate of yours,
around in junior ranks. Yeah, it's a long time ago, but looking good. Congratulations, Steve.
Way to go, Steve. Steve.
The big fines going on there. Last minute. Sean McGuire's.
How about this? Just finish the deal here.
So Winnipeg team is also going to
go. Here we go.
Look out now.
It's going to get ugly.
Yes, it is. Best to just walk away right now. This one was over at the end of 3 quarters. Steve's right in the middle.
Talking to Lucas Purifoy. Watch Steve.
I remember when he used to do this as a player. There he comes. Hold on. Oh, there's a shot there. So yeah, so Winnipeg has a bye week.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan number 28. That penalty is declined. First down.
2 weeks they head to Montreal, try to extend their lead. Blue Bombers will now match the 9.
As well.
Yeah,
that'll be a good one. Montreal's on fire right now with Kahari Jones and Vernon Adams at the helm, and they won a big one this weekend and moved to 6-4. Trying to chase Hamilton down.
Bombers will get their 9th win, matches Hamilton's 9 in the East. Cats on a bye week this week.
How about Toronto destroying Ottawa today?
Okay.
Ottawa can't find their mojo.
And that's still not all said and done there. As far as the Argos go, they still can run the table. Triple header day continuing. This Blue Bomber fan base on its feet here, and a lot of people heading back to Regina not so happy.
Steve's got to get in there and break up some more tackles and fights.
Stevie used to get in a few of those when we played.
Steve's going to have some serious fines after this one.
And they're still going at it. Can't wait for October 5.
Well, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers delivered on rematch in the Banjo Bowl here today and moved to 9-7 in the Banjo Bowl. And the crowd here is loving it on a beautiful day and afternoon for some CFL football. We got more of it in store for you.
Clock's at zeros, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers take the 16th Banjo Bowl, and a Banjo Bowl bounce back.
They're still going at it.
And Dickinson and O'Shea much cooler this week, and can't wait for round 3. Back in Mosaic on October 5th. And that will mean the Riders have a score to settle as well. It was all Winnipeg today. Almost everybody deserves this for Winnipeg, the Nissan Titan player of the game.
Yeah, and it goes to a guy that had a lot on his shoulders today. And Strevs, just had one of those games you dream about as a quarterback in a big game like this, the Banjo Bowl. First time he's experienced it. And he basically just lit it up. It was on his game. And if you had him in CFL fantasy football, you had a pretty good day yourself. 34.4 points. Beautiful throw to his running back right there. And just
nice lead.
Just absolutely had one of those days you dream about, and great day for football. This type of day you just want to tee it up and go again. If you hadn't got enough fans, just sit back and watch the rematch of the Alberta.
It's a trophy that might be paraded down Portage Avenue tonight. You never know. The Nissan Titan Player of the Game brought to you by Nissan Titan, ranked #1 in quality by J.D. Power. Yes, the Bombers strummed and they hummed today, big time. Now 9-3 on the season. They win the Banjo Bowl. They bounce back 35-10 as we send it back to Rod and the boys in the studio getting ready for Game 3 on Triple Header Saturday.